Boom, baby. Welcome back to the Boom Breakdown. We're going to talk about UFC 235. Also talk about Holloway versus Poirier for the interim lightweight title, which has just been booked. And we're going to talk about some fight picks. We're going to have some fan questions I'm going to go through at the end. And that's it, man. Nothing too crazy, nothing too long. Shout out to the High Rollers over here for the gear. Nice little t-shirts they got. Let's the back, you see that? Chill. You know how it is. Let's bring up this fight card though. But actually, let's first start off with Holloway versus Poirier. Man, this fight is it's crazy how things happen with Ferguson. You know, I'm really trying to figure out what happened with Ferguson. It's hard because he won't come out and talk about it. So I wonder what the actual truth is with that. Some say he turned the fight down with Holloway. He got offered for the interim title, and who's to blame him? The guy won an interim title, and he got stripped of his title after he got hurt. You know, it was out of his control, and they still took his title, and it kind of sucks for him to have to deal with something like that, and you know, go through that and be willing to jump in for another interim title after all that happened. It just doesn't seem to make sense. You know, you're proving right there that the interim title is not really worth much. Doesn't guarantee you anything. It's really just a symbol for, hey, good job, but you're not really a champion. That's all it really is saying. You know, maybe you get a little bit of bump in money. That's cool, but if that's all you really want and that's what you're fighting for, it's tough. You know, Ferguson really deserves his shot at the real belt, but we got Khabib out due to his suspension, and he's not going to do that commercial that they want him to do to shorten the suspension, and I don't blame him either. I mean, who doesn't want a loyal friend like Khabib the way that he is with his boys? You know, he's willing to sit out because his boys are suspended, and he wants to stick by their side, you know, and be a loyal friend to them and stuff. So that's kind of cool to see, but that hurts the business. That hurts the division, the lightweight division from moving forward. So this is the reason why they're doing this kind of thing. They're making a fight where the fans can kind of latch onto it. Oh, it's a title fight. Wow, Holloway's coming up from 145. That's cool and all. Let Holloway make history, you know. I love watching the guy fight. He's shown amazing improvement since the first time Poirier and him fought, which was way back, but Poirier beat him by like a mounted triangle / armbar, which was impressive. But that was, you know, they've both improved. It was a while back when they fought, and right now I just cannot see anybody beating Holloway besides maybe Khabib, giving him trouble with the way that he dominates guys on top. Holloway's going to come in there, the faster guy. He's big enough to deal with the 55-pounders, and his movement and his angles and his ability to glide in and switch stances and be equally impressive, ambidextrous from both sides is just amazing as of late. He's constantly throwing volume at you. He's in your face. He knows when to pick his power shots. He doesn't throw power into every punch, but he sets them up right. He times them right. He throws on the offbeat, and it's just hard to deal with a guy like that. You know, Poirier's a guy who's willing to fight you, and he doesn't back down from a fight and try to run and score points. He's gonna come back at Holloway and try to land some big left hands and some big leg kicks and try to exchange with him in the pocket. And I feel like when it gets to a fight like that, Holloway knows how to be in and out, constantly touch you and not get touched, and it just adds up. And if you think you're going to take Holloway down, you got another thing coming. The guy is right back up to his feet. He's amazing at takedown defense, so that's going to be a tough task. You know, Poirier has solid jiu-jitsu. He has good wrestling, but I don't see it being at a level where, like, you have a Khabib where he just smashes through guys with his wrestling and he's able to hold guys down. You might land a takedown on Holloway, but he's popping right back up, and now you're faced with dealing with the strikes again, and he's coming with you with some crazy volume. So I see this fight going to like the third round, and I think it's going to look similar to Holloway Ortega, where he's taking a lot of shots, and it's adding up and toughness is going to keep you in there. But we've seen Poirier fold to that kind of thing where he gets hurt and he can be finished, and Ortega, props to him, because he took a beating the whole damn fight and was stayed in there. But I think Poirier is going to be taken out probably the third round. I see a TKO KO victory for Holloway in this fight. I think speed's going to be a big factor. I don't think size is going to play a factor. They're both going to be pretty similar size. And the wrestling's going to get negated. Holloway's too good defensively. It's going to be a striking matchup. And I think Holloway is the more well-rounded, the more tricky, the more tools in his toolbox type of striker. So I see Holloway getting the job done. That's how I view that fight. It's just crazy though that it's an interim title. What happens when Holloway wins this fight? You know what I'm saying? Like, what are they doing with the Iaquintas and the Tony Fergusons, and Khabib comes back and now you got a guy in Holloway who has the interim title? What do? Do you screw Tony Ferguson now because that's how the game's played? He turned down a fight, so now it's like, all right, you could sit on the sidelines, and now we're going to give Holloway the fight with Khabib. There's history there with the fight that could have happened back in New York. It never happened. And now if Holloway is the interim champion, who gets the next shot? Does Ferguson come in and fight Holloway real quick before Khabib comes back, or do we wait and now Holloway fights Khabib? It's going to be it's a crazy clusterfuck going on in the division now. But that's for a later time. We'll save that for then. That's what I think about the fight. It's an amazing fight. Poirier really has earned his shot, and it's going to be a great fight. But I just see Holloway being a little bit more dominant on the feet, landing the more shots, and being in and out and creating angles and being able to avoid any power shots that Poirier brings. So we'll see what happens. But I got Holloway TKO KO round 3. That's my prediction. Sniffling like a motherfucker because I got a deviated septum. Why get surgery? I don't know. I'm going to get punched in the face some more. Fighting's still going on, so hey, let's wait till we're done, right? UFC 235. I'm just going to go over the main card, maybe touch up on a couple other fights. We got Cody Garbrandt versus Pedro Munoz. Cody Garbrandt's coming off of, a couple of back-to-back losses from TJ Dillashaw. We've seen what that's done to other fighters. It's hard to bounce back from that, especially if you're KO'd. It's not like he was flatline KO'd where it's like you're traumatized from it. It's more like, flash knockouts where he's hurt, wobbled, and the ref steps in. That still sucks, and you still have to deal with that and bounce back. Pedro Munoz is not an easy fight to come back with. The guy's in your face. He's a black belt in jiu-jitsu where, he doesn't use it much in every single fight, but he's got the skills to finish a submission, mostly guillotines. I think he has a couple of arm bars. I'm not sure of all of his submissions, but he doesn't really look to take it there that much. And I don't think Cody's a guy with very, high athleticism, good wrestling himself, very quick, very fast at reactionary things. So I don't see Munoz being able to take him down. I see the fight taking, starting out really fast paced. I think Cody's got, the right mindset right now, trying to bounce back. Forget about the TJ stuff, put it in the past, get yourself back on track. He's got the speed, he's got the boxing. Pedro Munoz is kind of similar where he's going to stand up and get in the pocket and be in that boxing range. He's very, very good at the leg kicks though, the calf kicks he's been improving on, and that does a lot of damage in these fights. It shuts down guys. If you can land 3 or 4 of those, you kind of burn out that left leg, those ligaments, those tendons in there, the nerves, whatever. It slows down guys, but I think Cody's going to come out hot right out the gate. I think he's going to come out aggressive. I think Pedro Munoz is going to probably get drawn into that striking fight where it's in the pocket, kind of like the Brett Johns fight, but Cody has different boxing power. He has different speed. Brett Johns is a really good fighter, really well-rounded. I think they both kind of agreed, let's just slug it out and let's just stay in the pocket and see what happens. But with Cody, I feel like that's not a guy you want to do that with. You got to fight Cody a little bit more tactical, a little bit more smart, strategic. TJ was showing how patience pays off with Cody. You got to kind of create angles and let him throw that right hand and miss and come in and counter back. But Pedro's going to get in there. He's going to be down on the reach advantage, which is not going to be a big deal because they're both kind of round punchers. They don't really throw long, straight punches. And I think that Cody's going to get the job done early by KO or TKO. I think he's going to hurt Pedro because Pedro's got that tough attitude where he's like, I'll take a shot to give a shot. And Cody's not the guy you want to do that with. Right now, he looks like he's having a good training camp. He looks to be in great shape. And let's be honest, TJ Dillashaw is the world champ. He's beaten everyone in front of him pretty much. So, you lose to that guy. There's no shame in that. I'm really excited to see how Pedro Munoz deals with the speed and the boxing of Cody. I don't think he's going to be able to take the shots the way that he has against other guys. I think he's going to have to be a little bit smarter in this fight. We'll see if he comes with a good game plan. We'll see if he actually mixes up those takedowns and surprises Cody with the takedown and, looks to try to grapple him. And, Cody's not a guy, though, that gets stuck on the ground. It's kind of like the same thing with Holloway, where, like, if he gets taken down or if he gets threatened with a shot, he's scrambling, he's right back up to his feet. So it's going to be tough to really hold someone like Cody down and find a submission. I just don't see that happening in this fight. I see Cody Garbrandt coming out with the first or second round TKO KO victory. Tisha Torres, Weili Zhang. This Weili Zhang girl is a beast. I see her tearing through this division and becoming a future world champion, to be honest. She has that thing about her where it's just like, as a woman, you see women take punches and you're like, okay, they're reacting like a little bit like, I don't want to get hit. This girl's in there with some vicious Muay Thai, very, very aggressive. Takes a shot, gives a shot, doesn't back down from anything. I haven't really seen her wrestling tested, her ground game tested, but it looks to me like she's not an easy girl to take down. Tisha Torres is a strong, compact lady as well. She throws some power, and I think that might be the downfall for her in this fight, because if you go power for power with Weili Zhang, it looks like you ended up on the bottom half of the fucking dipstick. You know what I mean? So, not much to say else about this fight. I just think that Weili Zhang has the higher level, more crisp striking, more better Muay Thai, more precision, more devastation in her strikes, and I think she's going to get the good job done as well. Tisha Torres is really tough, though. I think the fight might go to decision, but I'm going with Weili Zhang by decision. A little sip of coffee for the fucking adrenals. What else we got? We got Robbie Lawler and the funky guy, Ben Askren, making his UFC debut. It looks like they gave Ben Askren a decent matchup for his debut. Lawler's no pushover. The guy's one of the best in the world, and he's a tough guy to beat, but Askren is it's no secret that he's going to try to grapple the shit out of you and wear you down and beat you up with the ground and pound. And the thing about Askren, though, he's not afraid to kind of get in your face and strike a little bit to land the takedown. That's a big thing. If you're a wrestler, you can't just go in there and shoot panic takedowns and rush to get a guy down. The fight starts standing up, so you have to have the confidence and the ability to at least get in a guy's face with some strikes to land that takedown. You can't just shoot a far out double and think that you're going to grab a hold of a high level guy's legs and get him down easy like that. That's not how Ben Askren does it. He gets in your face, he's funky with it, he throws some weird strikes and some unorthodox strikes to get in on a leg or get in on a clinch, close the distance, and that's where his game, that's his world right there. So Lawler's got to avoid that. He's got to throw that big left hand, he's got to land those shots, and he's got to stifle Askren's takedown ability. He can't let him get in close to him. It's a game of distance. Lawler has to keep him away, maybe use that stiff jab so he can keep him at bay, and once he clubs in, closes the distance, look for those uppercuts, look for those knees. Lawler likes to throw a jump knee, look for the straight left teep kicks up the front, snap kicks to the body. Everything coming from down low straight, you want to throw. Hit the mic. DJ. Go DJ. Go DJ. Askren's going to try to get the takedown. We know this. Lawler's got to throw those uppercuts, try to time his level change, throw those knees, throw those straight snap kicks. Everything is coming from a southpaw angle with Lawler, so that might be difficult for Askren to deal with. But let's be honest, Askren does what he wants to everybody. The guy's got a really, really high-level wrestling game, trains with Tyron Woodley. Tyron Woodley took out the champ at the time, Lawler, with that right hand. Very different fighters, but maybe Tyron Woodley could give him some inside advice of what he saw. Maybe that could help Askren in the fight. And overall, I see Askren's wrestling being the factor in the fight. He's going to get a hold of Lawler. We've seen Lawler taken down before. He's not really the best wrestler, but he has fairly good takedown defense. And I just think Askren's too high level of a wrestler for him to stop. He's probably not going to finish Lawler, but he's going to get the decision win based off points, being on top on the ground, landing some ground and pound, and improving position there. Tyron Woodley, Kamaru Usman. Another good fight, man. This fight is one of those fights where, it might be the changing of the guards, but I'm not quite sure. We got a guy in Usman who's a grinder. He's well-rounded. He's good at everything. He's a pressure fighter. He doesn't get tired. He's good at changing stances. He's a great wrestler. He likes to push you back up against the cage. But then again, Tyron Woodley likes to fight like that. He kind of backs up and gives you that, but then he shows you, listen, if you want to get close to me, you're going to take a big shot, something you might have never felt before. Tyron Woodley has that type of explosion that people don't see or feel. And I think that shocks a lot of people. Someone like Usman, he's going to have to be really smart the way he plays it in this fight. But you don't want to be hesitant like Till was in the fight. You don't want to give Tyron Woodley too much time to think, too much time to get comfortable, to set his feet up and get ready to land that big right-hand bomb. Tyron Woodley likes to blitz forward, and he likes to catch you when you're coming into him. When you get a little bit close, he throws you off where he blitzes forward with that left hand overhand right. He throws the left to kind of distract you, and then he comes overhand right and he kind of blitzes at the same time. And let's not be mistaken, Tyron Woodley's wrestling is really good, and I think that he's going to be able to kind of stop the Usman barrage of takedowns and the pressure game against the cage. I think he's going to be able to really throw Usman off with that power, that explosion, and Woodley's somebody who you can't get caught by. Usman's a guy that gets hit sometimes in fights, but I think by a different kind of power. Woodley's a different kind of power striker than other guys. It's not the same thing, so you don't want to get caught by that guy on the way in. And I think Usman's got to play this really smart. The first round is a really important round in this fight. I think Usman has to try to tire out Woodley a little bit. We've seen in previous fights Woodley does get tired. Usman does not really get tired. He stays fresh from the first round to the fifth round if the fight goes the distance. So I think for Woodley, it's let's get this guy out of here round one or round two. But got to be careful about over exploding and missing, because if Usman starts backing you up and clinching you and getting in on a leg and wearing you out and getting that lactic acid buildup in the muscles, Woodley's going to start to slow down. And that right hand's not going to be as respectful, you know what I mean? So it's, as the rounds go on, I favor Usman. If he can get it to the third, fourth round, we're looking at a fight that might be close, and Usman might be able to squeak out a decision in the fifth round if he can win those, third, fourth, and fifth rounds by just having that conditioning, having that pressure game, backing Woodley up, because Woodley will stay there, and he's not a volume puncher. He's not a guy who wins points like that. He's a guy who waits for that shot, and he picks you off and catches you with that overhand right, that big power punch, and leaves you flatlined or hurt. I don't see this fight going to the ground either, really, unless Usman lands a couple takedowns, which I think that Woodley will be able to probably fight back up to his feet, but he might get tired and it might start to fade away as the fight goes on. But I don't really see that happening. I think Tyron Woodley is, there's something about when he says, I'm the greatest welterweight of all time, that I just, man, there's a lot of conviction with when he says that. I really think he believes that. I don't think he wants to let no young gun come in here and take his title. We saw what he did to Till. Till was flustered in that fight more than any other fight we've ever seen. We've seen what Tyron Woodley does with a guy like Wonderboy Thompson, who's crazy good at karate, weird striking style, and he dealt with it great. And he actually won a lot of the striking exchanges, so that says a lot. And I think that Usman is more of a basic striker, uses his striking to close the distance to get into wrestling type scenarios. So I give the edge to Woodley in the fight. I give the power to Woodley, I give the speed to Woodley, and I give the experience to Woodley. You know, all those things are going to play factors in this fight. It's going to be a big thing. So I see Woodley finishing the fight, actually. I think he's going to catch Usman at some point, and it's going to be something he never felt before. I don't think it's going to be round 1. I think round 2 he's going to catch him. I think round 1 he might start out slow. I think Usman might be aware of that right hand and start out slow as well. But I don't think Usman should. I think he should kind of say fuck it and really try to close the distance quick on Woodley and get in on a leg. You know, get him working, get him tired, get that lactic acid build up before he explodes on you with that right hand, you know. But I see Woodley getting it done round 2. Man, I just can't breathe out of my fucking nose. I'm sorry, folks. Jon Jones, Anthony Smith. Big underdog Anthony Smith coming into this fight. I love the guy's story. You know, he's come from the bottom all the way to the top. He's faced his losses early on in his career, found his footing, found his confidence, found, you know, who he was as a fighter, and now he's in there showing his best potential, and it's really exciting watching him fight. He's a guy that will not go away. He's a guy that gets better as the fight goes on, and he's constantly improving. You know, we've seen him at 185. He made a big weight cut. He's talked about that. Now he's at 205. Looks so much better at 205. He said he's living a happier, healthier life, and that says a lot, man. People don't understand how much goes into weight cutting. It's not just the week of the fight. It's a whole lifestyle for 5-6 weeks where you're restricting yourself. You're not really, I don't want to go there. I want to get to sleep. I got to eat this at this time. Every day is a regimen, and it's not easy to live like that and be happy all the time. You know, you're kind of fucking sick of it after a while, but that's what it takes to be professional and get down to weight. But, you know, Anthony Smith went up to 205, and he feels a lot better, and he's able to live a little bit of a happier, more lenient life, and that's a big deal to some people. Sometimes that makes you a way better fighter, and I think for him that's the case. Now, Jon Jones, the question is, how serious is he taking Anthony Smith? He constantly keeps saying he's taking him serious. We've heard Anthony Smith say, you know, why does he keep saying that? Maybe that's because he's not taking me serious, and he has to convince himself that he is. I don't know if that's the case. I think Jon Jones might be turning a corner here where he's taking the game a little more serious. He's getting tested by WADA, USADA. He's being looked at, but, you know, he's back in the gym right after his win against Alexander Gustafsson, which he won that fight with way much more ease than the first fight. So we don't know if that's due to his skill or due to, you know, something that happened with Gustafsson. I don't know. It was just a completely different fight, but Jones did it with ease, didn't get hit. The first fight was a complete war. Second fight, didn't get hit at all, really, and dominated the fight and won pretty quickly, pretty easily. I think the big factor in this fight is the jiu-jitsu of Jon Jones. His wrestling is on another level than Anthony Smith, and his jiu-jitsu seems to be something that shocks guys. He's submitted many black belts. Chael Sonnen said he's never felt a strength like Jon Jones in there. Anthony Smith, we've seen that he has been on the ground before in bad positions from guys who are way less of grapplers than Jon Jones, especially in that last fight against Volkan. Yeah, he submitted him, but he also had trouble with him on the ground at some points in the fight. I think that says a lot because Volkan's not really a grappler. He's primarily a striker. We've never seen him really submit guys like that. It's not something he does. So to see that happened to Smith, I take something from that, and there's something that tells me that Jones is going to look to take Smith down early on in the fight. I think Jones will set up his strikes early. But I think he's going to take an early shot, get in on the legs of Smith, maybe a single to the high. He uses that single where he chops the head and kind of takes you down with it. Something like that. Or he's going to shoot some kind of shot early, in my opinion. I think he's going to look for a submission round 1, round 2. And I think Smith's going to feel something that he never felt on the ground before. Jon Jones is really good at controlling you positional-wise on the ground. And I think that he's going to get the submission done early. I really would like to see a big upset in this fight. I'd like to see Smith get it done. He's such a good guy. I just think Jon Jones is untouchable, man. It's fucking crazy how good that guy is, man. No matter what, he finds a way to win, whether it's a war, whether he's tactically picking you apart with one-off shots, switching stances, or whether he's taking you down and ground and pounding you with elbows on the ground or finding a submission. The guy finds a way to win. I think in this fight, Anthony Smith is a guy who's not going to go away due to strikes. He's not going to fold due to any pressure. He gets better as the fight goes on, but one thing you can't stop is a submission. When you're stuck, and you got to tap or you go to sleep. So I see Jon Jones coming out with an early submission in this fight, probably round 1. All right. That's UFC 235 main card. Let's hit some fan questions. We'll start with... We got some on Instagram here. What age did you start training? This is from Dylan Tyler 8. I started training actually pretty late for MMA. I started training when I was like 19, 20 years old. That's when I had my first amateur fight. I believe I was 20. I was always an athlete. I always played soccer, hockey, bowling. My mom worked in a bowling alley. I actually got really good at bowling. I've just always been athletic. I've always been very into sports, whether it was playing football with my friends, baseball, racquetball. I played every sport there is pretty much, and I figured out a way to get good at everything. I just, chose certain sports to take serious. I played soccer since I was 5 years old. I think that helped me a lot with my fighting now, with conditioning, with my leg strength and stuff like that. So that was definitely a big factor in leading me to where I am today. But yeah, I started training at 19, 20 years old. What is your advice to anyone whose goal is to fight professionally? My advice would be to stay the course, to stay persistent. You're going to face ups and downs. Amateur career is really just about trials and tribulations and learning and growing as a fighter, finding yourself as a fighter. Believe in yourself. Find who you are in training in the gym. Don't always just listen to everybody else. And I know it's really big to trust your coaches, but sometimes you have to trust yourself too, and kind of figure out who you are as a fighter, how you want to move, how you want to stand, how you want to strike, what's your style. Everybody's style is different. You got to find what works best for you. You got to collaborate with the right coaches and find that perfect that perfect rhythm that you have as a fighter. And just keep your head strong, keep your skin thick, and keep pushing forward. Don't let the downfalls get to you, because the losses hurt, but the wins are what makes everything worth it. So just stay focused, man. Stay on the course, stay persistent, stay on a schedule, stay regimented, do the things that you need to do to be at your optimal performance every day, all day. Boom. We'll hit up some Twitter questions here, see what we got for the hashtag Boom Breakdown, baby. Trying to figure out how to actually find the questions the right way, because people comment. You're not gonna go back and find these bitches. Okay, we got Big Bang MMA. What do you think of other MMA organizations such as Bellator, ONE FC having tournaments for a division title? I like the tournaments. I think it's different. UFC doesn't like to really do that kind of thing because it throws off the division a little bit. But hey, let's throw a couple fucking interim titles in the mix, right? No, I mean, tournaments are exciting. It really shows you got to earn your way to the top. You got to beat the guy in front of you to get to the next guy who beat that guy. So everyone's kind of fighting the tougher guy. You're finding out who's the best by having guys filter up to the top. And it's exciting to see. You know, I think it's better to have the tournament style happen all kind of in one night, not spread out, because you kind of got to figure out injuries and timing and stuff like that. Now you got a guy who's ready to fight again, but this guy got hurt, so now he's got to wait fucking 4 more months. So I think the tournament style is cool. It's really exciting, but I think it'd be better to have it all kind of in one night, where every fighter is fighting on one card, but it's all as a tournament style. You see who advances. Now these two are going to fight each other in 3 months on that card, and it's cool to see who comes out on top and stuff like that. I really like the format. I think the UFC should do something like that with one of their more stacked divisions. I think that'll be something different. That'll bring, you know, fans' attention and make something exciting, something new. Do you agree with making the 155-pound division more crowded by adding Holloway, or do you think Dustin should have just fought Tony? The problem is you got so many different fighters and opinions and business and ego in the mix of these things, you know. I'm sure the UFC talked to Ferguson, but he's like, listen, I had an interim title. You took it away from me. Now you want me to fight for another interim title when I earned my shot to fight Khabib. Khabib's out for this long. We got to keep the division moving. I understand the business. It's just the way it is. But, you know, it's unfortunate that these super fights are being made and they're holding up the true number one contenders, and the divisions are being all screwed up. You know, I don't know, man. It's like you can't deny Holloway for taking the fight. I mean, the guy wants to take a fight. If he gets offered the fight and he says yes, you can't blame the guy. He's going to get a chance. You know, who doesn't want to take that opportunity? Poirier's like, I earned my shot too. I'm going to take an interim title because maybe he thinks that, you know, this is going to guarantee him a shot at Khabib. You know, usually the interim title guy should get the next shot, but is that true? Colby Covington, I don't know. Tony Ferguson, I don't know. It's kind of confusing. It's just a way to get the fans engaged. Wow, there's a title on the line. Holy shit, Max Holloway's coming up from 145 to fight for this title. If he wins, he's going to fight Khabib. The thing is, nothing is set in stone. So really, it's just a great fight, a great matchup. A guy coming up from 145 who's the best fighter at 145, world champ, fighting one of the best fighters at 155. That's how I look at it. I'm excited to see who's the best fighters in the world. That's really what matters, you know what I mean? But hopefully these guys are getting paid what they deserve to take these risks, to potentially lose a fight and not get a title fight and actually have the real world championship. So I just hope they're getting compensated right, and the risk is worth the reward. And I'm really looking forward to that fight and seeing what happens and how it plays out. I kind of feel bad for Ferguson, but then again, the rumors are he turned down the fight with Holloway. He got offered the fight and turned it down, so Poirier got the fight. You know, deserve is a weird word. It's like, who deserves what? I don't know, but we got Holloway versus Poirier, and hopefully Ferguson gets the winner, or hopefully Ferguson gets Khabib before anything, and then the winner of this fight can fight the winner of that fight. I don't know how it's going to play out, but we'll see. And that question was by Maddie Bags 2313. Good question. We got DHAL09. How do you see the heavyweight division playing out throughout the year, and who do you think will be the champion going into 2020? Here's the thing, man. We got Cain Velasquez just came back. His knee probably blew out. We didn't even really get to see him perform, but Francis Ngannou, props to him for coming back from that, you know, those defeats that he faced. He was facing the psychological aspect of it, and now he's in there clocking guys, knocking guys out, and pretty much, you know, like nothing ever happened. It doesn't look like he's fighting with fear anymore, which is a beautiful thing. You got Stipe Miocic, who, like I said, with that word deserve again, you know, who's to say he doesn't deserve a rematch? He's been the most defending, you know, heavyweight world champion when he had the belt, and DC knocked him out. There's a lot of controversy with things. It's like, oh, he defended the belt so many times, he deserves his shot. Or, oh, you know, DC knocked him out clean cut, cold. You know, there's no controversy in the fight. So Does he deserve a rematch? We don't know, but DC's on his way out. He has a couple more fights. The guy's trying to make as much money as possible. He wants to avenge the John Jones. That's the biggest fight they can make as far as heavyweight goes. John Jones comes up, fights DC. I think that's the big fight that's going to happen within this year, that we're going to see is John Jones going to be light heavyweight and heavyweight world champion. And if he is heavyweight world champion, is he gonna let the belt go at light heavyweight and just stay at heavyweight for the remainder of his career? And then we got fights like Jones-Stipe, Jones-Derek Lewis, Jones-Cain Velasquez, Jones-Francis Ngannou. So a lot of crazy fights that could happen if Jones comes up and beats DC. Who knows? We got DC that's trying to fight Brock Lesnar. I don't really care for that much. Brock Lesnar comes in and out, does what the fuck he wants. It's a big money, big pay-per-view fight, good for DC, but I'm not crazy about those kind of fights. I'm more of a hardcore MMA fan. As a fighter myself, I like seeing the best fighters in the world fight the best fighters in the world, number one versus number two. I like when I see that happen. So man, let's see what happens with Francis. Maybe Francis fights Stipe again for the number one contender fight. DC's going to get that Brock fight in or whatever it is. And then we see who comes out the victor, who's going to fight who in the next fight. But I see John Jones coming up to heavyweight at some point, and I just don't see anybody beating the damn guy. So, I see John Jones being the heavyweight champion by the time 2020 comes around. That's my opinion. So, that's that pretty much. That's fan questions for you. Follow me, subscribe if you can. I'd appreciate that. Follow me on Instagram, on Twitter at BrianBoom135. We'll be back for the next fight card, UFC 235 coming up. Shout out to High Rollers right here. Shout out to the Terp House, Hummus Fit, Vita Cryotherapy, my sponsors. I'm going to be fighting May 4th in Ottawa, Canada against Mitch Gagnon. I'm going to be back putting on the performance of my life. It's going to be the best fight of my career. I promise. I'm going to go in there and let everything go and get this next deal with the UFC. Keep this shit alive, So thank you for tuning in. Follow me on YouTube, Brian Kelleher. You could search me, Boom Breakdown. You'll find me on there. And we'll see you guys next time, all right? Boom!